There was a widow who had a daughter, and she also had a stepdaughter. The stepdaughter is diligent, beautiful, and the daughter is not good in face, and the lazy girl is terrible. The widow loved her daughter very much and forgave her everything, but she forced her stepdaughter to work hard, and every morning the stepdaughter had to sit down at the well and spin yarn. And she had so much to hide that often even the blood came out on her fingers. Once she sat there, spinning, and smeared the spindle with blood. The girl bent down to the well to wash the spindle, and suddenly the spindle slipped out of her hands and fell into the well. The stepdaughter began to cry and ran home to her stepmother. "You dropped it, you take it out," the stepmother said angrily. "Don't come back without the spindle." The girl went back to the well and threw herself into the water out of grief. "I threw myself into the water and immediately lost consciousness. And when she woke up, she saw that she was lying on a green lawn. The sun was shining from the sky, and flowers were growing on the lawn." The girl went across the lawn, looking. There is a stove on the lawn, and loaves are baked in the oven. The bread called out to her, "Oh, take us, girl, from the oven, as soon as possible. Take it out, as soon as possible. We're already baked. Otherwise, we'll soon be completely burned up." The girl took a shovel and took the loaves out of the oven. Then she went on and came to the apple tree. And there were a lot of ripe. "Oh, shake me, girl, shake me. The apples have long been ripe." The girl began to shake the tree. Apples rained down on the ground. And she shook the apple tree until not a single apple was left on it. The girl put the apples in a pile and went on. And at last she came to the hut. An old woman looked out of the window of the hut. Huge white teeth protruded from her mouth. When the girl saw the old woman, she was afraid and wanted to run, but the old woman shouted to her, "What are you afraid of, honey? You'd better stay with me. You'll work hard, and you'll be fine. Why, oh, you just make me a better bed and beat up the feather bed and pillows harder so that the feathers fly in all directions. When the feathers fly from my feather bed, it snows on the ground. Do you know who I am? I am the Lady Medelitza herself." "Well," said the girl, "I am willing to enter your service." So she stayed to work for the old woman. She was a good girl, an exemplary one, and did everything the old woman ordered her to do. She fluffed the feather bed and pillows so hard that the feathers flew in all directions like flakes of snow. It was a good life for the girl at Medelitza. Medelitza never scolded her, but always fed her richly and deliciously. And yet, the girl soon began to get bored. At first she couldn't understand why she was bored, because she was 1,000 times better off here than at home, and then she realized that it was the breed house that she was missing. As bad as it was, she was still very used to it. That's just what the girl says to the old woman. "I'm very homesick. As much as I'm happy here, I can't stay here any longer. I really want to see my family." Medelitza listened to her and said, "I like that you don't forget your family. You did a good job for me. For that, She took the girl by the hand and led her to a large gate. The gate opened, and as the girl passed under it, gold fell on top of her. So she went out of the gate, all covered with gold. "This is your reward for your efforts," said Snowbird, and gave her the spindle that had fallen into the well. Then the gate closed, and she was back up on the ground. Soon she came to her stepmother's house. When she entered the house, the cuckoo, "The girl's here. I brought a lot of gold to the house." The stepmother and her daughter saw that the stepdaughter had brought a lot of gold with her, and they greeted her kindly. "They didn't even scold me for my long absence." The girl told them all that had happened to her, and the stepmother wished that her daughter would also become rich, that she would also bring a lot of gold to the house. She set her daughter spinning by the well. The lazy daughter sat down by the well, but did not spin. "I only scratched my finger with a thorn until it bled, smeared the spindle with blood, threw it into the well, and jumped into the water after it myself." And now she found herself on the same green lawn, where beautiful flowers grew. She went along the path and soon came to the loaves shouted to her, "Take us out of the oven. Take it out quickly. We're already baked. We're about to burn." "No way," idly replied. "You'll make me dirty," she said, and went on. Then she came to the apple tree, and the apple tree called out to her, "Oh, shake for me, girl, shake it for me. The apples are all well," she answered, "it's just as well. If I start shaking you, some apple will fall on my head and fill a bump." Finally, the lazy girl came to the house of Mrs. Medelitza. She wasn't afraid of the snowstorm at all. After all, her sister had told her about Panicle's big teeth and that she wasn't scary at all. So the lazy girl came to work for Medelitza. The first day she still somehow tried to overcome her laziness, obeyed Mrs. Medelitza, fluffed her feather bed and pillows so that the feathers flew in all directions. And on the second and third days, laziness began to overcome her. In the morning, she reluctantly got out of bed. Her mistress's bed was poorly made, and the feather bed and pillows had completely ceased to be fluffed. "Broomstick is tired of." "Go back to your home." Here the lazy girl was delighted. "Well," he thinks, "now the gold will fall on me." Medelitza led her to the big gate. The gates swung open. But when the lazy girl came out of them, it was not the gold that fell on her, but the cauldron of pitch that overturned. "Here's your reward for your work," said Snowdrift, and slammed the gate. Mistress Medelitza. The brothers Grimm. The lazy girl came home, and the cockerel, who was sitting on the well, saw her and screamed, "Everyone in the village will laugh. Enter a girl covered in tar." And so this resin stuck to her so tightly that it remained on her skin for the rest of her life.